Instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Potter and Scott McLeod. All right, well, welcome to the Flagstick Podcast, Jeff Potter, and remotely, even more remotely than normal, Scott McLeod. I say remotely, he's always remote. He's either in Kingston and I'm in Ottawa, or this case,
occasionally Toronto. But
he's in the far eastern part of Canada, the Atlantic area of Prince Edward Island, visiting family.
You got it.
Mom's birthday.
It was, so had a good one. So we'll get to it, but yeah, it was fun. It was nice to be down here for sure. So
cool. All right. Well, we got a podcast to do, and the podcast is sponsored this week by Srixon Golf. At Srixon, performance is more than just a number; it's a feeling, and one that starts with the forge. Introducing ZXI irons with iForge, the groundbreaking achievement in shaping, pressing, and heating that's taken Srixon to an entirely new level. ZXI irons from Srixon, how forged should feel. Visit Srixon.ca for the full lineup of Srixon products. Well, now, of course, before we get going here, make sure you're following us across all of our social media networks, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. Please subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And we do encourage you. We usually do encourage you, and we still encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us, click the notification bell, make sure that you never miss a single episode of this great podcast or anything else we put up there. So, we got a good show. This time of year, the show can be just about anything.
it can be because, there's... Well, I won't say there's not a lot going on, because obviously there's still professional events going on, but there's less local type events, there's less regional events, there's less national events, especially kind of at an amateur level. So, we definitely have a variety that we get to, but we also have some old favorites as well, which is one we're sort of going to explore a little bit today as well, plus something else.
Yeah, of course. So what we're going to get into this week, we're going to get into a little bit of a discussion about how you can assess your game as a golfer and prepare yourself for the next season. This is all on the heels or on the beginning of indoor golf season, beginning and outdoor golf season ending. Of course, we always say just because one outdoor season ends, golf season doesn't end anymore.
Nope.
It's a continuation of whatever you want it to be. So why not take the opportunity to assess your game and work on things? We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about golf course design, length, characteristics a little bit. And this kind of coming on the heels of the recent DP World Tour event that was held at Delhi Country Club. And there was a lot of discussion at that golf course on various golf outlets.
Did you just say Delhi?
I said Delhi. Delhi. I'm sorry. Delhi.
Let's take another sip of your coffee. I like it.
Yeah, not enough. And we're going to talk about how that affects the professional game as well as what that means to everyday golfers. So,
yeah, for sure.
We got some good topics for you on the front and back nine. So let's get to the front nine presented by Metcalfe Golf Club. Natural setting, a pleasant challenge. There is still a little bit of golf season left to be played. Fall golf at Metcalfe is pretty cool too, so you can experience that. But that said, the 2026 game package sale is still on until the October 31st. Purchase your 2026 game packages before the end of October this year and get a bonus round for every 10 passes that you purchase. So it's not a bad time to save pretty big on your golf at Metcalfe for this year or next year. And of course, the food at Metcalfe, Hickory's at Metcalfe is awesome, and still restaurant's still open, so you can get in there and get some good meal. Visit metcalfegolf.com. Okay,
here we go.
Let's get into a little front nine chatter, a little front nine conversation. Now, we just kind of alluded to you. You're down east.
Yep.
You're not in Eastern Ontario. You are in Eastern Canada.
I am.
Little family visit and some catch up with our buddy Sam.
Yeah, obviously we had some birthday things and all sorts of stuff with the family. My sister was actually down here, which was quite nice. But I had a little bit more free time to kind of wander around, golf related things, and one of them was catching up with Golf PEI Executive Director Sam McPhail. They've got a new office down here. It's not quite finished yet, so but he did invite me down for a tour. They're going to have the retail location will be established there. Just catching up, mostly on the 2025 season, which still continues down here.
Mm-hmm.
Some golf courses are open for another couple weeks or so. A bunch of them are closed. And that was the start of kind of my touring around. We just talked about 2025, which was a record year for them. The bookings were up, they were through the roof. Rounds were up through the roof, partly for a number of different things. One to do to the weather, like a lot of other places, they just didn't have a lot of rain this year. The other side of it, a lot more internal travel in Canada this year. So many people booked and
Yeah.
came and finally, came to PEI if it was their, their place to get to on their bucket list for their life. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, it's time to come now. So yeah, and talking to him, that it doesn't really they're not complacent about that. They certainly realize that they have to keep pushing, so they have a lot of great plans. I'm sure we'll have a chat with Sam at some point soon, more of a public one, but lots of different things they've are guessing, or sorry, they're thinking about for 2026, and they're working on already, just to kind of improve things overall. And I think all golf courses down here really benefited this year, even some of the smaller ones. There's a small golf course called Forest Hills. It's right by a campground, and I know they did a record number of rounds. I was talking to Ben King, one of their managers, and it's sort of an outlet golf course. A lot of people now are going to it because they can't get tee times in the other places. So, all this to say, you definitely have to get out and start making your bookings now if you're going to, if you have plans to
Mm-hmm.
come down here. And then did a little bit of a tour yesterday. I wasn't sure if I was going to play or not.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was kind of a 12, 13 day. Wind chill was kind of 7,
Suck it
8.
up, Buttercup.
I know, but I was just like running the roads, and it's nice when I'm down here, and I miss not having my wife and my daughter here, but it gives me the opportunity to kind of go around, and my family's all from here, so spent lots of time here, so it's a chance to run around, head out to the beaches and all the different places with no tourists, which is kind of
Yeah.
fun, and it's kind of eerie. And you've done that. We made that trip down here in late September the one
Yeah.
year, and
Very
and
different than Midsummer.
very different. And so dropped into Anderson's Creek, saw Fergie out there, dropped into Green Gables, chatted with Ben King there, who we played with when we were,
Mm-hmm.
we were there a bunch of years ago, and then was wandering past Glasgow Hills, and I'm like, I'm going to be disappointed if I don't play, because I didn't play when I was here 8 weeks ago. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just go in and see if they've got a tee time. I had looked online a couple of days before and walked in the shop, and I'm like, hey, do you have a chance? There's a spot for a single. And they're basically like, we got a bunch of foursomes going out, but we can give you your own tee time if you want. So I got the 1 o'clock. It was all by myself, did a solo round, and
You
got
didn't
to
meet
play.
anybody in the parking lot?
No, Lori Kane this time. Sorry, Jeff. So for people for reference, when we did it, was that 2018,
My
around that
gosh.
time?
Yeah, 2018, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, we did fall 2018. We did a trip, and we pulled into the parking lot at Glasgow Hills, which is in New Glasgow. And I have some very deep family ties to New Glasgow. Um, and we pulled in the parking lot, and it was kind of a wet, rainy day. And we'd literally landed just a couple hours before. And as soon as we parked, this, red convertible Mustang rips in behind us. And it is our friend Lori Kane, the 99-time top 10 LPGA Tour player and a 4-time winner on the LPGA Tour, obviously a Canadian Golf Hall of Famer. So that was Jeff's greeting to PEI, was to
Yeah,
basically be
yeah,
greeted
right
by
there.
Lori
That was
Kane.
a
So
crappy weather day that day too.
it,
So at
it,
least you
it, it
got to
was.
similar weather.
But it wasn't too bad at all. And I'll actually have a little story related to playing it, because there was a couple of kind of special moments related to actually a story that we shared back in 2018 about an event at Glasgow Hills. But yeah, just a fun day, fall colors out there. Just took my time. I mean, sure, I could rip around the golf course in 2 hours, but hit a couple extra balls here and there, took some extra photos, waited behind a couple of groups of nice trio of guys let me through on 10. And it was just friendly and fun.
Well,
And
as you would expect it to be, right?
yeah, of course. So 17 still grinds my gears, that golf hole. I don't know if you
Yeah,
remember
I
that
do.
one, as far
Yeah,
as
no, I
yeah,
remember it.
down the hole, down the hill and back up. And but I will say this, and I mentioned this to you. Despite the fact that it was end of October, the greens were frisky.
Yes.
They were.
When I saw that the greens are frisk, I'm like, what exactly does that even mean?
Yeah, they were fast. And for anybody who hasn't played Glasgow Hills, it is built on the side of a hill. Les Ferber did the design, and let's just say the greens are definitely not on grade. There's a lot of big slopes in them, and maybe they were trying to protect a couple of spots, I guess, on the greens. But I only had one putt roll back to my feet, but there was a couple of challenging ones, let's just say. But you know what? It was fun because it sort of allowed you to be sort of creative. Like, I didn't care about the score. I didn't even know what I shot, but there's a lot of shots to try, a lot of
Yeah.
shots to let's try to take it over these two tiers and roll it over here. And sometimes there's a couple of spots there where you sort of have to hit it in the rough to land it in the fairway. But so it really tests your brain as well in that creative side of things. And yeah, it was just perfect. And that might be my last outdoor game of the year. So yeah,
Aw.
we'll see. We'll see.
Ah,
What about
no.
you? Did you play some golf?
Ah, I did.
All right.
I did. We did our regular Friday. We got a regular Friday round in. How, I'm not sure. Yet
Okay.
Brandon ended up having to go into work on Friday morning to
Mm,
help out. He's cutting pins now, so
okay.
he had to go in and help out a little bit because there were some guys away. So we weren't too sure. We booked a 2:10 tea time.
Whoa.
And we're not sure. But it was a
You guys know what
really,
time sunset is, right?
yeah, exactly. That was the thing. It's like, well, that was the earliest we could get out too. Like this
Wow.
is like we're still. I'm booking the day of kind of thing,
Right.
and I'm looking at their tee sheet because Brandon wanted to play Stonebridge. He's been
Okay.
after playing Stonebridge. He, like I've said before, he tends to Google things, and I've talked about what Stonebridge was like because I played Stonebridge
Sure.
before it opened. We had a contest years ago. Peter Hale was the director
Yep.
of golf
Director of
back
golf.
then, and we had a contest, and the winner got to play the golf course before it opened with Peter and myself.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh yeah,
so
I
I
forgot about that.
I saw the golf course like brand new, nobody, no divots, nothing. I played it,
Yep.
and I played it since then too. Before all the changes started happening at Stonebridge.
Sure. So
So
they did a
Brandon's been kind of
renovation.
looking
Yep.
at the Google Earth version of what it was like to what it is, and he's kind of like, I want to play it, but he's like, it doesn't look like it's anywhere near as good as it was. He said, but I still want to play it. I'm like, well, I
Just
said
shorter.
we can. Well, it's a lot different than shorter, man. I'll tell you
Yes.
that.
Fair.
It's so anyway. So we decided to go play it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, super, super pleasantly surprised
Mm.
at
Okay.
the number one, the conditioning,
Okay.
next level conditioning. Like the
Really?
golf course, immaculate. Like not seemed like not a blade of grass out of place
In October.
in
Wow.
October.
Okay.
Obviously, we've gotten some rain since then, so the rough was a lot thicker, a lot more
Sure.
lush than it might have been. But I didn't play it in midsummer, so I don't know how dry it got to be. But
Yep.
um, the changes that they made to the golf course, the original holes, it's kind of like when you go to Wooden Sticks. We
Mm.
talk about the inspired by holes, but we've always talked about how the original holes are
Originals.
the better holes than the inspired by holes. So at Stonebridge now, for me and Brandon as well, the original holes that haven't changed
Mm-hmm.
since they redid everything because of the houses. The original holes are by far the best holes on the golf course. Like fantastic holes.
Sure.
Lots of different golf design characteristics that really enhance that golf
So
course.
Ted Baker did that original design.
Yeah. The redesign, unfortunately, the redesign sort of forced them to kind of make some holes shorter, change the direction of some holes, stick some par threes in places. The original putting green and practice area beside the clubhouse became the ninth hole.
Oh,
Became
okay.
like a 150-yard par three,
Okay.
which is, I mean, It is what it is. Here's the thing. I can critique it and I can criticize and I could say, what they did to it killed the golf course. And overall, if you're looking at the 18 holes that was there to the 18 holes that are there, it was a way better golf course
But
in its
if
original.
you
But
just arrived today and have never seen
if you
it
just
before,
arrived today and looked at it, you'd kind of go, and you didn't know anything about the original design, you
hmm,
might say the par threes are not that strong. They're a
okay,
little weak, but because they're all very similar.
okay,
But you wouldn't, and you might say, well, that's kind of weird finishing on a 150-yard par three and then jumping over here to this par five. But you wouldn't think anything less. You wouldn't think anything different. The conditions
okay.
are still great. The designs are still okay. Bunkering is
Location's pretty
not.
good.
What's that? The
Location's
location's
pretty good.
amazing. Yeah, like
Yeah,
the bunkering. The thing that I do like about what they did is they went deep. And Brandon commented on this. The first thing he commented on because he's been looking at it overhead and seeing the shape of the bunkers. The kind of
right.
circle, kidney shape, kind of. Oh my God, just like every other golf course that builds a
Sure.
golf. There's no creative inspiration here. But what they did is they went really deep on them.
Hmm.
So they have depth to those bunkers, which changes the look of them when you're flat to the ground
Right.
versus overhead. Overhead, everything just has a shape.
So once you get in the three dimensions, it
Once you put
changes
it in the
everything.
three-dimensional world, then there's
Yeah.
still not the greatest design for a bunker, but because
Sure.
of the way that they dug them down and made them deeper, it kind of changes how they look from the ground. So we were both really pleasantly surprised that based on what we saw overhead to what we saw in person, that it was still a really like
Hmm.
really
It's
well
par
done what they did.
68
Par
now.
70.
Oh, it is par 70.
Yeah,
Okay.
par 70, six
Yeah,
par threes.
because I thought originally it was going to be less than 70. Not that that makes a difference. What's the overall length now? Do you remember?
6,000
Okay.
6,000
So
yards.
so
And
that
then now
lends
that,
into
that,
our
that
discussion later on.
yeah,
So
exactly. So that's kind of why I'm
sure.
talking about this the way I am is because it's going to kind of
Yeah.
lead into what we talk about in the back nine, where we talk about length of golf course, and
Yeah.
um, there is some meat to it in some places.
Right.
And having played the original 18, it's like, I know what the 18th hole used to
Right.
look like. I know
Yeah.
what the 12th
Right.
hole used to look like. So it's kind of
Sure.
like,
Yeah. You're you're
I
you're
wish it
emo-
was
you're
still the way it
emotion
was.
you're emotionally attached to that
Yeah,
as
a
far as
little
your
bit
memory.
emotionally
Right.
attached and a little bit because there's a history.
Right.
If I had
Yeah.
no history,
That's
I
fair.
wouldn't know any different. And I
Right.
would play the golf course and go, dang, Now, the old Stonebridge would have been, in my opinion, probably the outside the private golf courses would have been
Hmm.
probably the best public golf course we have in this area.
Interesting.
Rival it and Equinell, same style of, housing
Yeah.
development
Modern.
kind of thing,
Yeah.
very modern look, very,
It was always
nice,
challenging for like zone
very, yeah.
events when everybody was there. I mean, that was always the fear, especially if it got firm out there.
The
You know,
greens,
the greens and the balls
yeah.
would roll into the that long grass, and yeah, it was a good test that way. And again, a different test, and again, we'll talk about that on the
Yeah,
back
for
nine as
sure.
well of how that changes. So,
But
well,
yeah, an
that's good.
enjoyable day. Got another one in. I don't know if we'll be able with the hockey
Hmm.
tournament this weekend. We're not going to play on Friday, and
Okay.
then you're getting into now you're getting into late October, and a lot of
Yeah.
courses are going to start closing. I know some are going to be closing first week in November, second week in November.
Yeah.
So we're kind of
Diehards will be out there for sure. I mean, I saw
yeah.
diehards down here yesterday. I saw people. I mean, again, it was like 9 degrees at that time, and going to get a coffee, and I look out at Anderson's Creek on the putting green, and there's some dude in shorts. I'm like, oh man, that's a different breed
Well, it's
for sure.
24 degrees on the weekend here.
Not
Like
here.
yeah.
Yeah, I
I'm
know
sorry. I'm sorry for your
you
loss.
had it nice. Now it's supposed to be sunny here on my way out on Wednesday, so I'm going to stop in at a couple of golf courses in hopefully in Nova Scotia on the way out. We'll see, and then again, the clubs are in the bag, so
Who
whether I
knows? Who knows where the car will lead you?
exactly,
There's
so
always a golf course to drive by.
exactly, I wouldn't mind getting a few more swings, but as you know, it's narrow windows during the day now, just because of daylight demands for tea times and so
Yeah.
forth. But we'll see. Hopefully, there's another one in it for both of us. But you never know. So
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Okay. So enough about us.
sure.
Let's talk about David Stockwell.
Yeah, I you know what? We did a story with David a bunch of years ago. He
Yeah.
actually wrote the story, and this was pre-COVID. Now, for people not familiar, David Stockwell from Ottawa. And he was a gentleman that was on a quest to play all 66 of the the official Royal golf
Yeah, I was
courses.
gonna say, because there's a
There,
couple that
there,
aren't.
there are golf courses that say Royal, and I think one in Canada will regret it because they call themselves Royal after a visit by a certain prince who has now dropped his titles. We won't get into that,
Oops.
but I don't think they want to be affiliated with him. But anyways, David Sacco was on this quest, and he did complete it. His last one that he played was Royal Windsor, which is on the grounds of Windsor Castle, and he was in touch about some golf books and some different things. And he's friends with Joe and Joe McLean that worked for us, and he decided, on the urging of friends, to submit his feat last year to Guinness as a potential world record, and he was pleased to share that he received confirmation and certification earlier this year. So,
Wow,
yeah,
outstanding.
he's in the Guinness Book of World Records. So, yeah,
Yeah, I can't imagine that. I mean, that's an incredible feat. I really can't imagine that there's going to be too many people that are going to try to duplicate that or would be able to duplicate that, because
he
that is
is.
the thing that people have to understand is that accomplishment is not
Mm,
something you just like, oh, I'm going to go and play. So got to make a phone call, get a tee
nope,
time, because there's a lot of those Royal golf courses you
super
don't
private.
just get tee time. So
Yep.
there's a lot of work that would have to be
Yep.
involved in getting an opportunity to play some of them.
Yeah,
So
and especially the one on the ground of Windsor Castle. It's a private course just for the royal family, and he was only able to get access by becoming friends with the head of security for the royal family, the Windsor family, and that's how he got access to it. So, I mean, the chances of anyone else getting access to that are very, very slim. So, I'm sure there's some people that are trying or have played a fair number, but these golf courses, of course, are all the way around the world too.
yeah,
So it's a very unique quest, and the fact that he accomplished that is definitely, Guinness worthy for sure. And unfortunately, that story was in print. I don't think it ever made it online. So yeah, it was not something we ever digital. So we can't send people to go and read that, but maybe I can find that somehow and maybe digitize it at some point. But very interesting story from his perspective on doing that. And he was I think he was about two courses short prior to COVID, and then he finished the two afterwards. He completed
awesome.
that. So cool feat, and
Yeah, very.
yeah, great recognition for him. So yeah,
Congratulations, David. Now you can rest.
there you go. Yeah, you got the 66. What do you do? It's not like a top 100 that's
I
changing.
know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're done.
So you're done.
You retire. That's what you do. You just,
Yes,
that's it. What do you
walk
do
off.
now?
Yeah,
Yep, I'm done.
cool.
Hang the clubs up, put them in the closet, and finish. There's no point. There's no point in golfing anymore. All that needs to be accomplished has been accomplished.
I'm sure he'll figure something else too.
I'm sure he will.
Yes,
Obviously, he likes
definitely.
golf, so I don't think he's going to stop playing anytime soon.
No, that's for sure. So,
Although his inspiration might be gone now.
true.
The PGA of Ottawa Zone, PGA of Canada Ottawa Zone has named their finalists for the annual awards for 2025.
Mm-hmm.
All of the winners will be announced on October 30th at the Marshes at their annual awards dinner. I think it's part of the buying show too, right? Oh,
No,
no,
buying
not
shows in
anymore.
Montreal.
Oh,
Buying
that's right
shows
too. They
in
just finished. Actually, that's true
Yeah,
too, because I was talking to Joe Warner at Stonebridge,
yeah,
and he had
yeah,
mentioned he just got back from the buying show. So
yeah. BPG's in Montreal this year, so as a result of it, they're doing a separate day. I think they're doing an education thing, a little golf event around Operation 36, and then I think it's 4 to 6 o'clock or whatever the awards. So
So
I'll
a
be there.
complete list of all the finalists is available at flagstick.com.
Yep.
However, I will note that our very own Scott McLeod has been nominated once again for the Coach of the Year.
I'm
Oh,
I'm the Susan Lucci of I just
yeah,
don't, I don't know if people get that reference, but she was
probably not.
she was not an Emmy Award winner, but she was nominated I think like 8 times for acting in like a soap opera, and always would finish second. So, but whatever, it doesn't matter to me. So it's cool.
But congratulations on your nomination.
Thank
Hopefully,
you.
it goes better for you this year. Um,
3 times a charm.
yeah, maybe. You never know. You never know. This is where you say, "I'm happy just being nominated."
Exactly. I think I've done that a few
That's
times.
it.
I've said
That's
that
it.
to
Everybody that's never
Mark.
won an award
Yeah.
that they've been nominated for would
Yeah.
say that I'm happy just to have been nominated and be a part of these two other great coaches. BS. I'm gonna freaking win. It's
Like the Blue Jays
garbage.
last night. Like the Blue Jays last night. So
Yes, the blue. Yeah, okay. I'm not a big baseball fan.
I know.
I
That's
am a
why I didn't bring
Canadian
it up.
sport fan.
Sure.
However, I did watch the end of the game. Probably, I have to admit, I was watching the end of the game mainly because I wanted to see if they were going to blow it.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
I'm
Wow.
sorry. I'm sorry. It comes from watching the Leafs play too much hockey and watching them blow it all the time.
So if you
I
want to
just
send
figured that
hate
they
mail,
would blow it.
I'll give you Jeff's email address. You send hate mail to
I
that.
don't think I'm that hard to find, honestly.
There you go.
I'm a when it comes to hockey, I'm a Washington Capital fan. So pile on,
Yeah.
everybody.
Hey, I'm a Red Sox fan. I'm just watching the Blue Jays. So yeah,
Exactly. So I just don't follow baseball that much. I
yeah,
find it is very different. I mean, I'm sure it's exciting to people who love baseball.
sure.
I just really it just moves too slow for me.
Yeah,
I just can't. It's
it's
like
certainly better
soccer.
now.
I
Yeah, it's
like
certainly better
soccer,
now with
but
the shot clock and everything like that. So I mean, they the pitching clock and things. So that
yeah.
moves things along. They definitely they've improved it a lot because I have the same mind many years ago. I mean, I can remember just falling asleep at the Sky
Oh,
Dome even though it was Roger Clemens pitching, but it was just so many back offs and the
oh, I
pitching
know.
took forever and the hitting took forever or whatever. But hey, whatever. It's fun. It's something for everyone to get behind, and they'll start that on Friday. Their World Series against LA. I think they're in tough.
I think they will be, but from
Who
what I've
knows?
seen, they can hit home runs, so I guess that's a good thing.
They certainly can.
Okay, so let's move on to kind of another big part of the show this week. We're going to talk about as the season is sort of winding down outdoors, and we're getting into kind of the indoor season starting very soon. Um, it's kind of that time where you've had a season. You got to kind of assess things a little bit.
Yeah.
You got to take a look at how your season went,
Mm-hmm.
and what you might want to be working on during the winter months, so that you kind of hit the ground running when the season opens up again in April or May next year. So Scott's kind of put together this assess and prepare thing for golfers, a little bit of a comprehensive plan for
Mm-hmm.
them to assess and prepare for the next season. So I'll kind of let you handle this because
Yeah, for sure.
this is not my area of expertise by any means. I don't assess, I don't prepare, I hibernate and then I play. That's
Well,
how it goes.
I think you're pretty typical in that way, but it's
Oh,
fine.
thank you.
But
Thank you. I
sorry,
like to be typical.
you're
I'm
exceptional,
exceptional. Well,
but
thank you for that as well.
but typical. This is more targeted towards the players that they reach out in March and they say, "Hey, I'm getting ready for the golf year, and how should I get ready?" And you're like, "Whoa, back up the bus here. You should have been thinking about that months ago." And it's just like anything else. You have to be thinking about it far in advance. We talk about it in the terms of golf courses and stuff all the
Hmm.
time. Obviously whether it's marketing or whatever, everything has to be done well in advance to be ready and prepare for when you want things to happen. So this is more targeted kind of at those players, and where that starts is kind of right now at the end of the season itself, and hopefully during this past season they've done some things that they can make some good decisions
Hmm.
based on, and that starts right away with that sort of an assessment. And I think the one thing right now is we have more people that have access to data about their golf games. More people are subscribing to different types of services for data collection, stat collection, decade, up game, even the most basic metrics. Anything can help. The more comprehensive the better, especially when you're going to go find a golf coach and you're going to give them a bunch of information, because more often than not, when people show up, unfortunately, the information that they give you doesn't really give you much of a foundation to work from. You ask them about their golf game, they throw you their handicap, they tell you about their best score ever, and they don't know much more about it. So that really creates a bit of a blank spot, and you really got to kind of build that as a coach to build a program. And it's like anything else. If you don't have good information, you can't make logical decisions. And you could spend all winter working on something that really is not a weakness in your game.
Yeah.
And that's not what you want to do. If you're going to get better every year, and unfortunately in Canada, we do have that off season, but that doesn't mean you have to stop working on your game. And in fact, having a little bit of a break away from the golf course is actually good in some way. You're
I
focused on
agree.
you're focused on scoring, you're focused on playing the game, which is what you should be doing during the season. Maybe you're doing some things that, are more tied to the golf season and the fact that you have access to outdoor putting greens and short game and getting used to grass, some things that you can't obviously practice indoors.
Hmm.
But this time of year is the time to start to work on what I call big rocks. It's the big things in your game. It's like, are we building speed? Are we rebuilding your entire golf swing? Those are the things you don't want to be doing in July when you have a tournament the next day. And so for the people that are, that reach out to a golf coach and say, hey, I have a tournament tomorrow. Can you fix my driver? That's not how it's done. It's really, it's not very effective. And unfortunately, that still happens in 2025 under some illusion. I think the golf industry sort of killed themselves a little bit because they sold that sort of miracle, right? There's too much quick fix stuff. There's, do this and your game is going to be perfect and so forth. Everything in life takes time to make changes, and that starts with that assessment. So this is where you really got to kind of dig into things and look at stats like we talked about last week, stats for PGA Tour players. Average players or normal day, players need to start looking at what they do and look at it in comparison to other people at their indexes or their handicaps,
Hmm.
and then look at what maybe the metrics, because we have a lot of the data that's out there right now. And if you're a 12 right now and you want to be an 8, we can find out pretty quickly based on going through your assessment where you're probably losing strokes and how you can gain them, and also kind of start to figure out what are the easiest low hanging fruit pieces that you can have that you need to focus on. Because let's face it, as much as we have this great big plan that we're going to work all winter and we're going to grind away on every aspect of our game and so forth, just start with something. And it's no different than exercise. Walking is better than sitting on a chair, and it might not be running, but at least it's something. So the same
Hmm.
thing for your golf game. If you want to get better, you sort of got to pick through the pieces and decide, kind of look at your driving, look at your approach, look at your short game, look at your putting, start to look at your mental game, how you prepare. Those are just the basics, right? And those are, in a lot of cases, are things that we can start to look at, and we can kind of access or we can we can assess them statistically, with different performance indicators that we can establish. So that's straight math. and
Hmm.
and then from there we start to look at all the other aspects of the game, because as we know, this is a very complicated game when you're trying to improve. For many people, not for everybody, Jeff. You just go and play. But for then we have to start looking at digging everything beyond the numbers. We got to look at the non-quantifiable things of the game. Where are you having issues with equipment, your physical, mental, emotional? What's your practice look like? I mean, that's one thing that we see a lot of people, they say they practice, but practice consists of hitting balls for half an hour before they tee off, or they go to the driving range for half an hour and they just hit balls until they hit some good and they're like, hey, I practiced. But practice means really defining what you need to work on, finding a way to make it better with a coach, or change in technique, or some other aspect of it, and then kind of going from there. So these are important things of establishing. So I would say the first part of the off season is really about assessment more than anything. Maybe you go and maybe you want to practice on your own this winter. Maybe
Hmm.
you've got a launch monitor at home, maybe you've got a net, maybe you've got a mat at home in your garage, you're going to hit balls. If you're not going to work with a coach all the way through it, maybe that's a case of you go and just do a straight assessment. Get your metrics that maybe you can't measure, be it force blades or whatever, or work with a coach to at least walk you through a real Q&A, so that you can have a deep dive, honest assessment of your game. Because it's really easy to think we're better than we are at some things. We
Yeah,
all
no
tend to
question
do
about
that.
that.
So that's kind of where you've got to kind of start there for sure. So
Okay.
let me have a
All
sip of
right.
coffee.
Sip of coffee. So where do you want to take, Scott? We got about a couple minutes before we
Yeah.
have to get out the show. Where do you want to
Okay.
take this from here? Do you want,
Okay.
want to carry some over?
We'll
Where do you want to lock
well
it up?
let's just I'll wrap it up here really quickly. We can
Okay.
carry and I'll leave the discussion because again, we'll do some articles and stuff. We'll
Yeah,
post
for
some stuff
sure.
up on flagstick.com. But I'd say after the assessment's over, create a plan, have an off season plan, a development plan, what you're going to work on, how you're going to work on it, what the frequency is, and you've got to have those objectives tied to the goals. Schedule your lessons, your check-ins, how you're going to monitor everything, see what your progress is like. What are the big things that are holding you back, and how can you get past them? And if you can start knocking those off during the off season and improve, it's going to make it much easier. When the season comes, and not all of a sudden, as I said, March. Okay, we got to fix my game. Well, you know what? It takes a long time to change
Yeah.
a lot of things, and then basically from there, we'll have you get towards the mid season, maybe you've got some little bit of checkup things. This is time to take care of those equipment things, all those other different aspects of your game. And then from there, then we start to transition to kind of the new season as we get towards the spring. Now you start to work more on your short game stuff. Maybe you're checking your dispersion, your yardage gapping that has changed over the wintertime as you've worked on, club head speed and so forth. And then you basically, if you've got this big plan, then you've basically got a roadmap that's going to take you through the winter to next year. And then you're going to feel a lot more prepared and confident when you hit the golf course next April.
There you go. All right. Well, we got to get out of here. When we come back, we're going to talk golf courses. So you're listening to and watching the Flagstick podcast with Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod.
How do you forge pure? With more pressure, more precision, more focus, more control. ZXI irons. Pure forged. Pure Srixon.
All right. Well, welcome back to the Flagstick podcast with Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod from PEI this week. He'll be back next week back here. You guys don't look at if we didn't say anything, nobody would know any different anyway. Because you got the background looks the same and everything is like whatever. We're just maybe you're not in PEI. I don't know.
Maybe I'm not. Maybe I'm in Alaska.
Alaska.
I met a couple actually before
from Alaska.
Just a fun aside, a couple that went through Alaska. I literally was out at Cavendish Beach doing the let's go look at the beach like we did.
It felt like Alaska?
Yeah, it felt like Alaska. Ran into a couple that were just like looking for some direction. They had a Sprinter van there. They were completing a 2-year journey that started in Patagonia in Argentina.
Oh my God.
Driving the whole way, all the way up into Alaska and then across Canada, and they were going to be shipping their vehicle back to Spain in a couple of days from Halifax. So and golfers too. So hi to them. This lovely couple from Barcelona. They didn't play any golf for the couple of years, but
that's
yes.
Too bad.
Yeah, but they were mostly biking stuff, but very, very neat to kind of run into people, that way. And
that is kind of cool.
Yeah, what a trip. Like, holy moly. But
yeah.
I got to thinking about that. Man, imagine if you did that with your golf clubs.
Oh, that would be
what
fantastic.
You would see.
That would be incredible.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could live in a camper Sprinter van for 2 years.
Yeah, you could do
else, but
you could do it.
But solo, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyways, it'd be fun. Interesting thing. So
very interesting. Okay, so this little topic that we want to get into on the back nine, let's just get to the back nine. Let's get right into the back nine.
Sure.
Back nine presented by Falcon Ridge Golf Club. Of course, 27 holes of fun and challenging golf at great rates. Falcon Ridge Golf Club is golfing experience that you should not miss. And don't forget, Falcon Ridge has the first TrackMan range facility in Eastern Ontario. TrackMan range is all about exciting, easy-to-use features that provide the ultimate range experience for every golfer at every level. That's practice, games, and virtual golf. To book your tee times or to book one of the 10 TrackMan bays, visit falconridgegolf.ca. And as I've always noted in the last couple of episodes, as we talk about indoor golf, Falcon Ridge does have a very good indoor golf facility as their TrackMan goes from outdoors to indoors. And exactly. they have TrackMan simulators inside all winter long.
You got it.
Golf at Falcon Ridge will not stop with the cold weather. They're probably getting them set up now.
Yeah, most of them are.
I haven't
We'll
talked
start.
to Ryan yet, but I'm sure that we'll be starting to announce that soon.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll make a very quick transition to that. I mean, it's an
Mm-hmm.
important aspect of the business now for kind of everyone. And yeah, already working on our winter directory.
All right. So, based on the premise that was sort of set off the discussions surrounding the DP World Tour event
Yeah.
at the Delhi Country Club in New Delhi, India.
Yes. Yes.
It was for the DP World Tours India Open.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of comments were being made, a lot of discussion was being had on our various golf outlets, on social media. Particularly one that popped into mind was an interview that was done with Rory McIlroy, who was playing, and the interviewer had mentioned, "I see that the big dog was
Right.
left out of the bag," and that kind of like, okay, well, the big dog, I mean, that obviously is the driver. And he commented that, yeah, given the big dog a rest this week, it isn't really necessary for this golf course. And I'm like, okay, wait a second here. What do you mean it's not necessary for this golf course? What's so different about this golf course? Because I have no idea with this golf course that the type of golf course that it was, why they would leave it now. This kind of sparks the conversation. The explanation was the golf course is extremely tree lined.
Yeah,
extremely tight,
dense tree lines.
This is not like TPC Sawgrass tree lined where you can hit it in the trees and punch out.
No,
punching out is punching out sideways if you're lucky.
Yeah, if not, I mean, in a lot of cases, you're not even going in there because some cobra is going to get you. So that's the other side of it too.
So this is you look at the golf course. When I started to look at some of the Google Earth shots and some of the video and some of the photos and look at some of the footage from the tournament, it's like, wow, this is not the kind of golf course that you see players on PGA Tour or DP World Tour. More so less on the DP because you don't see a lot of the DP World Tour events on TV if you're not watching for them. They're there if you want to watch them, but this isn't a normal golf course. Trees in the middle of fairways forcing you to hit out to the left, kind of reminiscent of Emerald Links, a couple holes of Emerald Links. But this forced the players to hit irons off the tee, hybrids off the tee, fairway woods in some cases off the tee if they thought they could squeeze a little bit more out of it. Now, overall, the length of the golf course is, I think, just over 7,000 yards was the length of the golf course. Like,
it's right around that range, which is again
short for a PGA
for tour events. And we have to understand too that a lot of these players, part of the reason this event got a lot of attention because a lot of the players were there because let's just put it out there are appearance fees involved in DP World Tour. So a lot of these people there were in India. I like this one friend put it, you can't tell me there's not appearance fees. It's hunting season and Brian Harmon is playing golf in India. So I mean, I guess that tells you a lot, right?
That's very funny.
So those players are there, but they're obviously looking at it and going, hey, you know what? Look at the density of these forests. Look at the width. Like some of the widths were like 25 yards across.
Yeah.
And that's including the fairway. And the problem that happens as you get to players that are hitting the golf ball 300 yards, their dispersions or average dispersions are way wider than that. So they know and understand that doesn't matter if they hit their normal shot or best shot, it's probably, and a lot of times it's going to find them in trouble. It's not about just hitting a bad shot. It's just hitting a normal shot that, as they go further out, they're going to get into trouble. So as a result of it, they had to start changing their strategy. Not that they didn't score, because obviously Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah, 22 under still deep.
Yeah, it's exactly 65 in the final round, but you saw how they had to do it. There was a lot of play where it was a short par four, and they have to leave themselves way back. They're all of a sudden hitting an iron off the tee, and then they have 176 in instead of 86 in. Like they'll find a lot of golf courses where they just kind of smash it down there, but that, as we've talked about, that starts to change the perspective of what you see all the time on professional golf, where it's the same all the time. And for me, that was a little bit more intriguing.
Very much so.
Because it's like, okay, this is a little bit different. These players have certain skills. How are they going to apply the skills they have to this type of golf course rather than just the same, let's just smash it, hit wedge from there. They certainly had to start looking at it much differently, almost like, an average amateur sometimes would have to at a golf course that starts to get really tight and have to maybe play a little bit more conservative, not Jeff, but you know what I mean? As far as trying to think of how to play it. But that for me, that kept me up late watching it because I was interested in how I was going to play. And from from that perspective, and we'll get into other perspectives here too, that intrigued me because it made it interesting and different than what you see week to week.
I normally don't watch much DP World Tour stuff. And for me, it always, when I watch DP World Tour events, it always depends on the golf course that they're playing. And I didn't know much about this golf course. So after the first news conference that I heard about, after the first round and started hearing the news conference, I'm like, wait a minute, I want to see what's the deal with this golf course. So then I started watching and I'm like, wow, this is I'm not saying that this is what golf because it isn't. It's not that you see this and you go, this is what the golf industry needs. No, the golf industry doesn't need this because this does not lend itself to the masses. This makes it ultimately more difficult and more challenging as a golf course operator to have a golf course that plays like this, because
imagine the pace of play.
Well, I mean, even just like here's a perfect example right across the street at Metcalf.
Yeah,
and I play a 9-hole golf course. There's no trees.
Right.
You can hit it fairway to fairway to fairway, and it's a shorter golf course. And one of the reasons I like playing it is just quick, fun, easy round of golf, no stress. Mm-hmm. You play the 18-hole golf course, and there's some holes like that, but if you hit it into the trees, you're not playing it out of the trees very often. You're not likely finding your ball. It's so dense that you're basically it's in the trees. It's a reload. Or if they're staked, like a golf course like Eagle Creek on some of the holes on the sides. Not some of the interior holes, you get those big pines you can go in and play out, but like 17 to the left of 17, you're not finding your ball in there. Left and right of 3, you're not finding your ball in there. So there's a lot of holes like that. And you just think about that. When you hit a ball into the trees and you don't have the ability to go in and play it or find it, then you've just lost the ball, counted a stroke, and probably 5 minutes every time you hit it in there because you're going to go look for it.
Yeah. So like you said, it's not a case of, advocating that for amateurs. It's just saying that, it's nice to have variety when we're watching professional golf to see that their skills shown off in a different way.
Yes.
And that's why we don't want all the golf courses to be the same all the time, because basically the same players sort of come to the top. You want a lot of variety because then it gives advantages to other players, and maybe it hurts other players. I mean, you sort of want that to kind of make it interesting.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, I just like to see on the tours from time to time, you get a golf course like this. Now, I don't know how many are out there that are PGA Tour worthy or would host PGA Tour events, but we get to these golf courses and they grow the rough up sometimes, or if they don't grow the rough up and there's no trouble left and right to really get into, then these guys are just going to take drivers and fairway woods and bomb the ball as far down as they can. Like Bryson DeChambeau's philosophy, I'm just going to hit it down as far down the fairway as far as I possibly can. I'm going to have a wedge in my hand, and I got a better chance hitting a wedge out of the rough onto the green and stopping it than I do hitting a 6-iron from the middle of the fairway or the 6-iron from the light rough. Like it just that's the philosophy, and I feel that's the way professional golf has become. Is it's just to hit it as far as you can and then go from there.
And a lot of that is dictated by a number of different things. And some of the things that play in there are things like space for spectators, space for corporate hospitality. I mean, if you think about this golf course, I mean,
where are you going to put the tents?
Where are you going to put all that stuff?
Yeah, but in the trees.
That said, that's why this golf event was more based about, there are spectators there, but it was more based on the sponsor and them supporting it. TV, it makes for something different from TV. It wasn't about the in-person experience as much as possible, while there were some people there. But so I understand logistics dictate why a lot of the PGA Tour events have to go to the golf courses that have more space. They're a little wider. But even if there's a few holes here and there within a golf course that provided that pucker factor a little bit more, right? That's
Oh my
what
God.
well, that's what you sort of want, right?
Yeah. No,
you want
you're
that,
right.
as they say in England, squeaky bum time. You want a few of those that are really going to test you. Heck, we talked a couple of shows ago. You okay?
No.
We talked a couple shows ago about Camelot and, on the front nine, how it goes from those, more wide open holes, and all of a sudden you get to the six hole, which is a little bit narrower, and man, I'll tell you what, you start hanging on a little bit differently, and your mindset has to change, you physically have to change.
Yep.
As we said, it doesn't have to be all the time. It would just be nice if we got to see that, and it was cool to see these guys par 5 and they're like on 18, and all of a sudden they're risking it to hit driver or risking it even to hit 3-wood, and a lot of them are still ended up being in the rough, and as a result of it being in the rough, they couldn't always control the spin, even though the greens were super soft.
A little bit like Hamilton Country Club.
A little bit. It's open now. That it's very open now.
Yeah, that's true. That when they did the reno there, so
there's still some holes there that are like that, though. That again, it starts to give you that feel where it's like, okay, the golf course is closing in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you've got to be. You mentioned Eagle Creek. 3 at Eagle Creek is still a nightmare hole for me. I mean, to get down there, and
yes, it is.
I turned that thing into a driving range one time, and now the rules and stuff have changed. But you get back there and you finish playing a par 5 where you feel like you can sort of blast it a little bit. You've got some space. You feel a little bit comfort. The psychology of the game and the discomfort factor is super important. It's not about just the test of the physical golf course. It's that mental aspect as well. So you need sort of those elements to kind of, weigh on your brain a little bit to start to realize it's like, oh boy, I got to really do something, especially under pressure, and realize that, I could lose this shot here. As you said, not the best for the average amateur, but there's still something to be said there when we start to talk about length relative to amateurs. Now,
well, this is another topic altogether, right? Like,
it really is. So, yeah.
Length of golf course. We talked about recently having played Stonebridge.
Yeah.
Now, Stonebridge, when it first opened up, I don't recall the exact yardage, but I feel like the original yardage of Stonebridge was probably closer to the 65, 66.
Yeah, that's where it was. It was right
not crazy long, but sort of same as Equinell. Equinell's about 66, 6,700 topping out, which to me is about the maximum that the majority of golf courses need to be based on today's technology and today's amateur golfer. So you got to put the professional ranks aside unless you're designing a golf course that you are hoping will host some kind of major event down the road. So if you're building a golf course today and your goal is to sink 100 million into this golf course and build the absolute most difficult, best golf course, you're going to host a President's Cup, you're going to host a major championship, then you got to get that thing up to 76 to 7,800 yards. You have to, unless the design of the golf course is such that you can do it at 74, 7,200 yards and make it tough. But if you're building a golf course from a standpoint of playability for the amateur golfer, that's a challenge and is difficult. And you take a golf course, as we talked about, Camelot tops out at just over 7,000 yards.
Right.
Probably the longest golf course in the region. I don't think Hunt Club gets to 7,000 yards, does it?
No, it's in the 69 range.
Rivermead, or not Rivermead.
Equinell's over 7,000.
What is?
Equinell.
I thought Equinell was just under 7,000.
No, it's over 7,000
okay.
from the back.
I guess we've never played it back there, so
we're smarter than that.
Yeah, we're smarter than that. So you're not, there's no 72, 74, 7,600 yard golfers. Eagle Creek, I think, tops out at just over 7,000.
And given the conditions as well, we're not
Yeah.
an environment that's, you know, usually like super dry. I mean, this year was an exception, but we usually see that in other places. You've got to understand too that when the golf courses are hosted by the PGA Tour, they're usually at their locations when the best weather is there. They trim them down really fast. It's a whole different set of conditions of where they are. But again, the average male amateur hits the golf ball under 220 yards. So it's not like we need those tees.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, that those tees just end up causing a bigger expense, a bigger maintenance expense. That we know as well. The number of times we went to golf courses, we stepped onto the back tees, and looks like nobody's touched them. It's because nobody has.
Because nobody has. Exactly.
Right.
It's not that it looks like they haven't. It's like they haven't.
But they still got to water them. They still got to fertilize them. They still got to cut them. They still got to have the time to do the maintenance on them. And, that means, extra costs that are, even if you're not paying those tees or playing those tees, you're paying for them.
Well, that's it. And when you talk about tree-lined fairways versus wide open, okay, so you take a golf course like Cloverdale. I'm speaking locally here because, people listen to the podcast all over. I can't refer to your golf course because I haven't seen it or played it. No. Around here, Cloverdale is a wide open farmers field type golf course. A lot of long grass, not fescue, but long grass in between holes. Kind of that linksy feel to it, but not really. Right. And then you take a golf course down the road, the sister golf course, if you will, take Emerald Links. Mm-hmm. Where initially, before all the housing and everything went in there, tree lined. So from a construction standpoint and the cost of construction, if you have a piece of property that's full of trees and you want to build a golf course in it, you've got to take the trees down, you've got to get rid of the trees, and you got to bring dirt in, move earth around to shape your golf course. And you take a property like Cloverdale that was a farmer's field to begin with and didn't have a ton of trees, there might have been a few, and you're just shaping it. So from the standpoint of construction costs, that's cheaper to build than Emerald Links would have been, or that Eagle Creek would have been when they had to bring in so much dirt because it was a swamp.
Right, which means your green fee is going to be less.
Exactly.
They're totally tied together. And I had this discussion on Friday when I was at Sam McPhail's office, and I was with another guy there that was a developer, and we were talking about that when all of a sudden you have $15 million to build an 18-hole golf course, now in a lot of cases, well, guess what? The green fee is going to reflect that. That is always going to be a problem. So we have to think about it is that, you can't have caviar for dog food prices. It just doesn't work that way, right? It just does not work that way. No. So the thing is that if they can keep those costs down and any costs, you don't want to all of a sudden build a big ballpark and then not be able to maintain it. That doesn't do anything for your business either. So, so you will see, and we are starting to see a trend where we're seeing, among some of the new builds that are coming now, we're starting to see shorter courses, more creativity. The focus is on fun. The focus is on different aspects of it. Courses that are already built, it's tough to kind of work into that. But, we also are seeing golfers realizing, understanding that, push forward, you're going to enjoy yourself a little bit more. But that means sometimes if they're pushing forward to 6,000 yards, there's, another 1,000 yards behind them that they're still having to pay for every week. So don't sit there and expect, these massive, golf properties to come in and be these 7,000 yard golf courses without having some costs that you're going to have to incur as a consumer.
Exactly. There's the bottom line as we wrap up this little part of the segment is there is a time and a place for different types of golf courses. For the most part, we don't need 7,000 plus yard golf courses to serve the masses. No. We need variety. That's great. But somewhere in the neighborhood of 6,500, 6,600, 6,700 at max is more than enough length for most golf courses that you will ever play in your lifetime if you need them. And if you're lucky enough to play Kiowa Island at 8,000 plus, well, have at it. All right. Yeah. I think that we'll wrap up. We'll wrap up there because I know we're getting up against the clock here again.
Yeah.
See what happens when we get talking about something that you just kind of, it just, time flies. It's a great topic. Maybe we'll talk about it more another time. Get your feedback on it. You can always email us or DM us or whatever you like on the social. But we'll wrap it up there for now. Great podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks, of course, to all our sponsors, Metcalf Golf Club, Falcon Ridge, and our presenting sponsor this week, Srixon Golf. At Srixon, performance is more than just a number. It is a feeling, and one that starts with the forge. Introducing ZXI irons with iForged, a groundbreaking achievement in shaping, pressing, and heating that's taken Srixon feel to an entirely new level. ZXI irons from Srixon, how forged should feel. Visit srixon.ca for the full lineup of our products. Well, we do hope that you've been enjoying hearing and watching, and be sure to follow us across all our social medias, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. Do subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And don't forget our YouTube channel. Like us, click the notification bell. Make sure that you never miss anything that we post up there. Get over to flagstick.com for great content published every single day, and subscribe to the Flagstick Digest newsletter. Delivered to your inbox, free of charge, I might add, 3 times a week, and lots of great content there that drives you over to flagstick.com for more. As always, we do appreciate you tuning in, but until next week, I'm Jeff Potter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
Remember, always go for the stick.